This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Taylor, he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic!
Here's Bob Williams. He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it.
Yeah! Forest Premier League!
Hello and welcome back to Red Side of the Trent, here to preview the preview of the start of the season. Joining me is returning guest Mason Coy. Are you well, mate?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries. It's less than 2 weeks to go, Mason, till the start of the season. Lots can obviously still change between then and now in terms of transfer window and everything else. How are you feeling about the season right this moment in time?
I'm fine about it. I'm happy. I think pre-season's been good. Just really looking forward to get going again.
You and I went Villarreal together, along with your brother and Danny. Our like friendship group who go Forest on a regular. What did you make of that game? Because I thought there was a lot of teething problems, but then also very good moments as well. So what did you make of it?
Yeah, it was a proper pre-season affair, really. Once it was one good thing and then three bad things, three good things, one bad thing. It was just proper pre-season game. I think quite a few players still looked a little bit rusty, but like I said, there's 2 weeks to go in there still. So
did you put that down to like maybe? I mean, it's really well documented that Forest are having double sessions and that. Do you think like maybe some players were maybe feeling the effects of that, or do you think it was something else? Or I'm trying to give them a bit more of a leeway than probably what other people might have done.
Yeah, it's still getting your bearings almost. It's like if you have me and you had a bit of time off work, the first day back would feel a bit strange, wouldn't it? Like it's still little things like that, getting used to partnerships in the team. Like for example, I think that was the first time Milenkovic played with Murillo. Am I right? I think it is. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's the first time they played together. And then, like I say, it's match sharpness. There's no fitness like match game fitness. There's no fitness like it. And like you said, they've probably been doing double sessions all week, and they're probably going into that game feeling 60-70% at a maximum. So yeah, it's all forgiven. It's just about minutes really in the legs.
Yeah, that starting side only seen one person that is new to the club this season start, and that is Nikola Milenkovic. What did you make of him in that game?
I really liked him. Like, don't get me wrong, he wasn't exactly busy, but the little bits that he had to do, he defended really well. There's a few times where he shepherded the ball straight through to Sells. He looked relatively quick off the mark, which was something I didn't think he was when we did sign him. But he was comfortable on the ball. Like as I lent in, it might have been to you. I lent into you, and after he came off, I said the best thing you could say about him today was he looked like he'd been here for a while. He looked like he'd played for us for a long time already, and I think that's a good compliment you can pay a centre half, really.
Yeah, I mean, a bit different from Murillo, who gave away his second penalty of the pre-season, which I get how hopefully he's getting all the bad ones out of the way. But I thought he was a bit shaky at times. I thought his passing was a little bit off, but like you can kind of forgive him in terms of because it's pre-season. We know what he gives us because he will attempt those sort of passes through the middle of the pitch. So hopefully that kind of gets out of the way. Are you quite excited by that centre-half pairing?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's got a bit of everything, hasn't it? It's got the aerial dominance with Milenkovic. I think they're both solid on the ball. It's got Murillo's attributes. We all know what Murillo can do. I think they complement each other quite well, and it's nice to have that. I know obviously Murillo played a lot last season, but it feels just so nice to have that natural right footer and natural left footer. It feels very balanced. I think it suits us very much having both of them two playing together. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them play against Bournemouth, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you foresee Nico Williams and Arena playing right back and full back? I mean, left back. Sorry, I know we'll get into the link for Bradley Locko later, but would you expect them two to start opening day?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the back four is pretty much nailed on now for that Bournemouth game. I think, to be honest, I think the starting 11 is just going off the team that played against Villarreal. I'd be very surprised if we've seen more than one change into that team. Um, but yeah, I think with Olarena being our best left back and Nico Williams being our best right back, I think it fits perfectly. Like you said, obviously we've got the link with Loco, which we'll speak about in a bit. But yeah, I think them two have had a decent, solid pre-season, and I think both looked fairly fit. Because we had the issue with Aina last year, didn't we? Where it got to about the 70 minute, and he looked like he was absolutely gassed out, but he looked fairly fit. So yeah, I think that has to be the starting fullback pairing.
Yeah, and then midfield and forward line, pretty happy with that. I thought Sangare was pretty good. That tackle he put in the first half, I think it is where he wins the ball but he takes the man as well, which was phenomenal. I'm hoping to see lots of that this season. I mean, he looked pretty sharp. I thought. I think his first touch in like maybe the opening minute was a bit like, "What are we doing here?" And then he quickly sorted himself out. To be fair, and I thought he looked really sharp. I was like, pretty excited, which you should be pretty happy with a £30 million player there. But like after the season he had last year, you're kind of like a bit wary and a bit like cautious about what the rest of the fan base are going to do, because we know how much of a hard time he got, really.
Yeah. I think for me, he was possibly our best player on the night. And I think I've watched every preseason game now. I think he's been a standout for me. He just looks 10 times fitter, doesn't he? Obviously, he had the malaria, he had all the other business with coming and settling into a new team. And I just think, I think he's looking like the main number 6, if you like, for us starting the season. I think he's more than warranted it just through pre-season. I know pre-season is not much to go off, but like I said, he looks fitter. He looks like he can cover a lot more ground than what he was doing. Like, he looked a bit sluggish last year. Obviously, there was a lot of factors, but yeah, I think he looked really, really sharp. Like you said, he looked a bit wobbly on the ball to begin with, but who didn't? Who didn't? Yeah. I think there was a lot of cheap giveaways. But yeah, Sangare really excited me. His performance excited me. So I'm excited to see him step in against Bournemouth, hopefully.
You agreed with me the other week when I spoke on the pod with the other lads about what our starting 11 should probably be for Bournemouth. And I put Danilo next to him. Do you still think that after watching the Villarreal game? I know we've got to play Olympiacos tomorrow night as we record this. This probably go out Thursday. So on the day we're playing Olympiacos, do you still expect Danilo to be partnering Sangare, or has Elliot Anderson done enough in pre-season to maybe take that spot? Even Nico Gimenez. It's a good problem to have, I think, for Nuno.
Yeah, 100%. Like I was just about to say, it's a very, very good problem because they're 3 very capable players. I think on the ball and off the ball, they're all very capable. But for me, I would stick with Danilo 100%. I think it gives you that natural balance, like I said, with the centre-backs. One's left-footed, one's right-footed. I think Danilo played 90 minutes as well, didn't he? And he looked so fit. He was still running like he was in the first minute and the 90th. So
he seemed to get like a second win around 60th minute. Then he was like absolutely everywhere. I was like, what the heck has happened?
Yeah, I'd put him in that bracket as well of giving the ball away cheaply, because I think he did quite a lot, especially in the first half. But like you said, after about 60 minutes, he looked like he'd finally settled down. But I think for me, he's also been a standout in pre-season. I think he's been really good. And for me, Anderson is he's a great player to have. I love him. I've really liked what I've seen of him so far. But I think Danilo just pips it purely because it's first game. And like I said, I think with Anderson in there, it could leave a few holes with Sangare being in there potentially on his own. Because Anderson, you know what he's like. He likes to bomb on, whereas Danilo is probably a bit more reserved in that manner. Don't get me wrong, he does join in, but I think Danilo is more of a proper number 8, whereas Anderson's a bit of like a mixture of an attacking midfielder and a central midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching Danilo just run around and probably laughing to himself for the entire 90 minutes as well. Yeah. Do you think it's the lowering of the socks that have done it? Maybe.
Yeah, I think a lot of our players have gone for that new look, haven't they? I think there's a couple that have started doing that. So yeah, see if it helps them.
Obviously, you've watched every single pre-season game, and I haven't, which is quite bad for someone doing a Forest podcast. But like, just circumstances, and don't really not a massive fan of them. But you obviously knew that Antti Elanga was going to take set pieces from the left hand side, and to all great surprise, he actually put in some really good balls in. But then there's the times when he gets on the ball, and you're like, can you just do a little bit more, like go at the fullback? I don't really think he did that against Villarreal. But our front line is very exciting. Obviously, Jota Silva's now training with the team. Ramon Sosa is the transfer saga of the year for Forest, it seems. But how excited are you about those potential four wingers rotating this season? Who do you think out of them four will probably be our biggest asset?
Wow. Well, yes, I am very excited is the answer. I think you'd be a fool if you weren't excited about them four. For me, I think the main man's still Hudson-Odoi. Like you touched on there, Elanga, for me, don't get me wrong, I love him. Really like Elanga. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn, and I think it shows. Like, for example, the other day, he kept coming in field, and it's like, you're the quickest player on the pitch, mate. Just touch it and run. Just literally, all you've got to do. He needs to keep his game as simple as possible for me. I think when he starts to overcomplicate it, that's when he starts to look lost. But yeah, 100%. I think I'm very excited about them both. I think they're both 100% set to start. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, that is. But for me, the main man on the wings is Hudson-Odoi. If he can replicate anything like he did last season, then we'll be on to a winner, really, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that we've got these two coming in to push them a little bit, because like I think Hudson-Odoi probably, I'm glad he had that kind of like acknowledgement that he was going to start every single week. It didn't really matter, but that was purely because we didn't have anyone else. Whereas this season, it's like you're not guaranteed to start every week. You are our starter, but if you start slipping, there's someone that is waiting in the wings this season, and hopefully that'll actually push him and Elanga on, because we've got those options. So I'm very intrigued to see that. I thought Gibbs White as well was pretty kind of Gibbs White-ish. Like didn't really do too much, but like got into some nice positions. Maybe made like the wrong pass at here and there, but that's just kind of what's going to happen. Wood was very, very poor against Villarreal, wasn't he? I don't know what was wrong with him.
That was the one for me. I think we looked like, I think I referred to it as looking like a blunt pencil at one point. We looked when we were on the ball, we looked fairly decent up until a certain point, and you could see things clicking, and then it got to Wood and everything seemed to just fizzle out. I don't know whether it was fitness. I don't know whether like blowing cobwebs off. Like he was great last season for us. I'm not going to call him and say he's worthless or anything like that. But yeah, he looked a little bit off it. And I think it showed more than ever that we need another option. There was a couple of instances in the first half, especially because obviously we were up a clough and it was right below us, where Aina had the ball at left back. Hudson-Odoi came to get the ball to his feet. He had Danilo infield to feet. Gibbs White came to feet, and then Wood would come and stand behind Gibbs White's feet, and then everything was all of a sudden too cramped up. They were really high. They had, I don't know how old he is now, about 55-year-old Raul Albiol at centre back. The game was just crying out for someone just to run in behind, just to play on the shoulder, not even necessarily run in and try and get through on goal. Just clip a ball into a channel every so often, just to give us that bit of variation to our game. Really, I think it was evident the other day. But yeah, like nothing bad about Wood. I just think he was just a bit off the pace, really.
Yeah. Who else has stood out to you pre-season, being so that you watched all of them? Because I know various players have got a lot of compliments, but for who stood out for you?
For me, obviously, without knowing anything about him when he came in, I think a few people have said this already, was Eric da Silva Moreira. I think he's been exceptional, to be honest. He came in and like just the physique of him, I didn't expect him to be like that. From the highlights videos that we watched when Fabrizio did his tweet, I watched a few videos on him. I thought, he looks like a little tricky winger, but he's like an absolute unit, isn't he? He's like a physical specimen almost. He's really impressed me. Like his first 45 against Chesterfield, I was like, whoa, hello. he's only 18. I think he could be a real surprise package for us this year. I don't think he's going to play every minute of every game. I think there'll be games and weeks where we don't see him, whether that's he's on the bench and he doesn't get minutes, but there will be times where he'll be needed. And I think even the other day he came on for 15, 20 minutes. He's shown little glimpses. It's just, I think when you're that age and you're already built like that, you're onto a winner, really, aren't you? He's really impressed me. But then going forward, I think Anderson has as well.
Yeah.
Anderson's been really good. I think he's got something that no one else has in our team, where I think he's very athletic, and he almost looks like he's always going to lose the ball, but then he'll do a long stride and he'll manage to come out with it, and he's very tenacious. I think what the Newcastle fans said about him when he came to us, I think they've described him very well, because that's what I've seen so far. He's impressed me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked what Murray has shown as well. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
6'1", 6'2" at 18. Like, what the heck are they feeding him?
I
I've
know.
said that quite a few times. So, I'm excited for him. And plus because he's come from St. Pauli, who didn't play him in a winning Bundesliga 2 side, and then we've got him for like what 1.5 million or whatever it is. And you're like, well, we were probably just playing the B team, and then he's been such a huge part of the preseason campaign as such. It's very, really positive kind of things, because like we've kind of lacked a few youngsters coming through recently since Brennan Johnson. We've kind of like, you've heard murmurs and that, and then because of the promotion, it makes it that a little bit harder to push through that youth. But Zach Abbott has done that this pre-season, and Nuno said in his post-match that he is part of his first team plans, which is quite exciting. He looks like a very capable centre half, and has obviously played through all the age groups for Forest and England. So, how excited are you about him as well?
Yeah, I've really liked the look of him as well. And like I say, in Spain, it was the first time I seen him, and it's another one of them. He got on the ball, and I just thought, yeah, he whatever it is, he's got it. He looks like a proper assured player already. That's another compliment that you can pay him. He looks like he belongs at this level. Don't get me wrong, Premier League level is tough. It'll be completely different watching him in the Premier League if he does get minutes, but that's something we don't have to worry about just yet. I don't think. I think he's one that it'll benefit either way. If he goes on loan, he'll benefit of getting good minutes, hopefully at a Championship club if that's the case. But if he does stay around, like Nuno says, then he's getting experience off players like Bolly, even players like Omar Bamadeli, who's not much older, but he's played a lot of games, hasn't he? So, and international level. So I think, he looks really good. He came on at like left back the other day as well, which
was like left back or left centre half. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's like, I think when we had the ball, he was almost like a left back, but he looked pretty comfortable. Yeah. So that's another one. Like I say, there's no better feeling than having a young Nottingham born and bred academy player coming through, is there? There's no better feeling, really.
No, it's good. I mean, he's rejected Man United to stay here, so that kind of makes me think like, well, maybe we gave him some kind of assurances. Obviously, he's been here since he was a kid, so that probably plays into a lot of his thinking as well and his decisions to stay. I kind of just think like we've not had a lot of talk about centre half. I mean, we was linked with someone from who's played Bundesliga 3. I'm not really made note of his name as such because I think it's quite loose, but like we've not really been linked to another senior centre half, so it makes me kind of think Nuno might be quite happy with him being the fifth choice, and that's someone who can step into a 2 or a 3 if we ever go to it and if we ever need him. So that's positive in that sense. But anyone that you think needs to potentially step up or just kind of like get their arse in gear?
Well, Wood would be the one. Obviously, he scored a couple of goals, so you kind of like, on one sense, he's done his job. In another sense, he looks a bit off it. So, but no, I think that's probably. It'd be harsh for me to call anyone out on that because, like I say, it's pre-season, and at the time of recording, we've still got a week and a half until the season starts. So, yeah, if it comes to the first few games of the season and he's still playing like that, then I'll be calling for him off. Hopefully, we'll have a new shiny toy in that position, which I'm sure we'll get onto at some point. But yeah, no, I think pre-season's about minutes, isn't it? Apart from all the standout performers, I think everyone else has just been pretty solid. Even the likes of the squad players last year, like Toffolo came on the other day and he looked like a little Duracell bunny, didn't he? He was flying about all over the place. So yeah, like I think it'd be harsh for me to pinpoint a player or a couple.
Yeah, because obviously I've mentioned all this a million times. You've watched preseason a lot. Is there anything in the team that you think has changed during pre-season from in comparison to last season? Obviously, Nuno stuck heavily with the 4-2-3-1. He sometimes went to a back 3 or a 5, if you want to call it that. Has there been any like stylistic change, would you say, or do you think he's kept it quite simple in terms of how we play and how we line up, or do you think he's kind of maybe kept it a little bit under the wraps and we've not actually seen what they've been working on?
Yeah, there's been a few like odd changes here and there. Like I've seen Aina going into midfield a couple of times, or little things like that. But I don't think it's drastic changes. I think the thing that we've benefited from most this preseason is just the players still being here from last year. Like because the first two pre-seasons we had in the Premier League were absolute chaos, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like we obviously had the international players. We've had so many coming in and out. Like I bet that change room was crazy in the last two pre-seasons. I bet you'd be sat next to a different player every day. But this one just seems a lot more settled, and I think we just look more like a Premier League team this year as well. Like obviously the games against Sunderland and Millwall, they're more than likely going to be mid-table Championship teams, but the level we looked compared to them was frightening. Really, it's the first time I've looked and gone, oh, we're really good actually. So. Yeah, I think there's a few, like I said, a few tactical tweaks here and there with the fullbacks, and I think there was a little bit of chop and change in the Millwall game with Anderson and Gibbs White rotating quite a lot. But that's just, I won't even put that down to Nuno. I think they're just clever players. They're clever enough to do it off their own back, aren't they? So I think time will tell with that, really.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about this on Sunday with the rest of the guys. But the new kit came out, Mason. It got leaked, obviously, because that's just football nowadays. Everything gets leaked so easily. You went down to the shop to have a proper good look at it. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a proper kit nerd. The second it came out, I was like, right, I'm off to the shop. I need to see it in person because on pictures it looked really nice. I went into the shop and it was even better. I think they're the two nicest kits we've had for a long, long time. Like I've been quite negative about Adidas on the whole, really. I didn't like the kits last year. I didn't like how they were longer at the back. I didn't like the little white strip around the white and the navy blue one. Didn't really like the white strip around the bottom of it. I don't know, but like this year they seem to have got their act together. We've got a bit of a bespoke design, haven't we, with the home one? With the stars. I like the home kit a lot. I think it's one of my favourites for a long time. But the away one, there's something about that navy and pink combo. I think it's because I wore that kit to Wembley. It just I don't know. I still wear that kit to our games now. The navy pink one that we wore, the boxed one when we got promoted. Yeah, there's something about that colour combination I really like with us. But yeah, they're both really good kits.
I do wish the sponsor was in the pink, like what the women have got with the E on. I mean, the women's one is lovely with that on. I mean, I think there's a few people I've seen going, "Oh, can we purchase that?" Which is fair, would be brilliant because obviously that would pump some money into the women's team and whatnot. But yeah, no, I actually like the look of the both of them. I'm same as you, been quite negative about. I've not really been that too fussed. I bought the bus seats one and I bought the coral and navy one from last year. But like at a canter, really, rather than like being like, oh yeah, I really want it, sort of thing. But yeah, no, it's good to see. Hopefully, the third one is a little rascal. There was that like deep Photoshop fake, which would have been phenomenal with like that old badge or whatever it was, with like I don't know, the bloke who looks like Guy Fawkes almost. But I think the green gave it away because Marinakis absolutely hates green with the Olympiacos kind of link to it all. Links to Bradley Locko and Santiago Gimenez. It's a little coincidental that we've got Nuno, and I mean, he likes a striker called Gimenez. I mean, it's spelt a little bit different, but we'll take it. Thoughts, first of all, on the Bradley Locko link?
Yeah, that's one for me. I think it'd kind of go under the radar if we did get him. He's a good age, 20, is he 22, 23? French, more than likely going to end up playing for France at some point. He looks like a better Nuno Tavares, to put it. I know that's not hard. I know that isn't hard, but I think it's very undervalued in football having a left-footed left back. And I think we've only got away with it so far because Ola Reina is so both-footed, and he's very good at taking the ball with his left foot. But I think it's a great option to have because Toffolo is a good squad player, a good backup option. But he lacks the athleticism, I think, that Nuno likes to have in his fullbacks. I think we've seen it a couple of times last year with Tavares, and I think that's why he played so much. He's driving forward, even driving through the middle of the pitch with the ball. I think if we did get Loco, I think he'd be that man to take over that role. Where that leaves Olorena, I don't know. I don't know whether that would mean Nico Williams dropping to the bench. It's another good option to have, isn't it? I'm excited about the Loco link, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame that it's probably going to spell the end for Omar Richards, who I had such high hopes for, especially after he banged in that one against Sunderland, I think it was, or was it? Yeah, it was Sunderland, wasn't it? I was like, yes, he's back. He's going to revive his career. Then it's kind of just and then he's not played since, which is a bit weird. I just think if he was going to be part of the squad, he would have played, especially against Villarreal rather than Toffolo. But that seems the end of it. But Loco is 22, played for Brest last season, who managed to qualify for the Champions League. Just some stats from WT Analysis. Progressive runs, he's in the top 90 percentile. Accurate crosses 85, crossing in general 71. Progressive passes 93, 85 for accurate 85% for accurate passes, and then defending 68 for defensive actions, 95 for defensive duels won. Sliding tackles 50%, shots blocked 17%. And the interception 73%. Attacking is obviously going to be a lot lower being a fullback, but that kind of really excites me in terms of he obviously likes to get forward and put crosses into the box, which is we've always got a big striker in there or a Gibbs White hopefully arriving late on the edge of the box. So that fulfills me with a lot of joy. It's been reported that we're going to pay around £15 million for him, and we've already potentially offered him the same wage he gets in a month for a week. So it's kind of I guess it's a bit of I'm not sure how much of a dilemma it is for him in terms of definitely not for money, but it's whether he wants to stay with Brest and play Champions League football or come to Forest and show what he's got in the Premier League. I mean, what would you potentially do? I mean, without trying to be biased.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Obviously, because he is French as well. He's playing, I'm pretty sure, which is close to his home. But it's a completely different level of football, isn't it? It's like in the Champions League, I think if you're a realist, Brest aren't necessarily going to be doing well in the Champions League, are you? So it's would you potentially put a hold on your career just to play 5 games of the Champions League? Because I don't know. It's a weird one to look at. It's a bit like what happened with Sangare. I think players nowadays, don't get me wrong, Champions League's the pinnacle, isn't it? Everyone wants to play in the Champions League, but I think players would rather play in the Premier League. You're there for 38 games a season. Like you said, he's quadrupling his wages. And at the end of the day, as a footballer, you'd like to think that would be nice for someone to do.
It's a short career as well, isn't it? And then
exactly.
my other thinking was he comes to the Premier League, showcases what he's got, and then he could easily get another move to a club that is in Europe anyway. Yeah. He's still relatively young. So that's just me being maybe a little bit biased, but also having a business head on in terms of where you could next move. Could it be like you say, Brest are going to go into that new format, the Champions League? It's very unlikely they even get out of it or make the playoff part of it, where you can get into the last 16 or whatever. However it's going to work this season, it's going to be. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we'll see. So yeah, no, I'm if that comes off, it's looking likely that it will, because there's been reports that he's keen on the move anyway. I mean, like you say, quadrupling your wages is not to be snuffed at, really. So hopefully that happens. That'll fill a gap for us. And then last but no means least, hopefully the Ramon Sosa thing will happen, or another winger. But we all joked when we said, we should go for Santiago Gimenez. That would be the dream. But it seems like we are linked. We've not really made an official move or anything yet. It's been reported, but 23 goals last season in the Eredivisie. I think he got 15 in the season before. Scored a few goals in Champions League or Europa League for Feyenoord. Thoughts on him, Mason?
Yeah, for me, he's a game changer. I think he would be a game changer. I think he'd be the striker that takes us to the next level. Like you said, his stats are ridiculous, really. We've seen the highlights of him. He's been someone who's been linked with a lot of good clubs, really, over the last couple of seasons. He's only young. In terms of football, he's only young. He looks like a real number 9, doesn't he? He looks really good. I think he would be the one. If we could only make one more signing, I'd say, yeah, I want him, please. He looks sensational, really. And I think one thing that stood out to me is not obviously his goals are his goals. He's got a great record, but he looks comfortable on the ball. And there's no disrespect to Taiwo or Wood, but they're not exactly technically gifted footballers, are they? I think he would offer us a completely different dynamic and a completely different way of playing, whilst also having that goal threat. I think he's the difference between a 16th up to a 12th even. So like I said to you earlier, I don't know what's going off with the Sosa deal. It seems we're haggling and doing all sorts of twists and turns, and there's a bit of me that thinks, is that because we're getting ready to put in an absolute monster of a bid and we're trying to penny pinch anywhere we can? I don't know. That's speculation, of course, but I think, yeah, he excites me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's a different profile to Wood and Awundi in terms of, like, he's not as big and his stature's not as big in that sense. But I think what he does offer is that ability to either drop in or run in behind. I think like he's a little bit lighter in terms of that sense. And we do need a different option. We need someone that can stretch defenses every now and then. That would help massively, because it just gets you up the pitch. It stretches defenders. They don't like running out to fullbacks. You always hear that on multiple media outlets from ex pros and whatnot. And I think Gimenez can score all different types of goals. When I watched his goal scoring compilation, he's scoring with right foot, left foot. I know he's predominantly left footed, but he's scoring headers. He's kind of got it all. And I mean, the one concern that people are having is he's scoring goals in the Eredivisie, but like, sometimes you've got to kind of take that risk, I guess, especially with a team like us. We've kind of got to make the plunge a little bit in terms of to make that level, because we're not going to get one of the better strikers out of Spain or another team, or from another team in England. It's just not really going to happen unless it's someone from the Championship, maybe. Or we suddenly have a very good season and we can pluck one of the lower team strikers. Do you know what I mean? But I'm quite excited. I don't see anything wrong with getting a striker from any league if they can score goals. I mean, we don't kind of blink when you get a player out of the Brazilian league, do you? Because the league's not exactly very good in comparison to the European league. So I take it you're not too fussed about him coming from Eredivisie.
No, not really. Like, I think if that's the case, we'll be turning our noses up at a lot of our signings we've made recently, and look at the impact that some of them have had. Like Murillo had played a handful of professional games before he signed. Now we're saying we want 70 million or he's going nowhere. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I think if you did that, it's a bit, I don't know what the word is for it, but I think Forest fans as a whole, I think we get quite arrogant quite quickly. Like, I think we need a sense of realism in the fact that if we could poach him, he'd be coming down to us. We wouldn't, do you know what I mean? Like, he would be coming to our level, because he's, at the end of the day, he's a Champions League forward. They did really well in their league last year. I think they won it, didn't they?
They come second.
Second, yeah.
PSV won it.
Yeah, there you go. Like, he'd be coming down to us. It would be a massive step in his career, but in terms of quality, he'd come in and he would be our best number 9. I don't know, like, we're not exactly, we're not going to pull players, like you said, from big teams. They're not going to look at Forest and think, oh yeah, I'd love to be battling in 16th and 17th in the Premier League. So I think for any fan to turn their nose up at him, I think it'd be crazy, in my opinion.
What I can't even bloody talk. Price wise though, £43 million, I think, was kind of dotted. I think that's like close to 50 million euros. Would you feel comfortable Forest paying that? I know the whole quote is that it's not our money, so it doesn't matter. But obviously we've been stung by PSR. But that kind of paying that price would lead me to think, well, next season we'll probably sell a big asset, and I think we kind of expect that anyway. So it kind of would level itself out.
Yeah, I think everyone tries to tout us as going after this Brighton model, and we want to do the Brighton model, and that means we constantly have to buy a player for 6 and sell him for 60, or we nurture them and create them into these really good players. But sometimes if you do want to make that next step, you have to splash the cash. Like Brighton went and bought João Pedro. Brentford spent loads of money on that new striker who's unfortunately injured. I think they spent quite a bit on someone else, Brentford did. I can't remember who it was. But
they bought that Igor Thiago, whatever his name is, for like quite a lot, and then they bought Kevin Schade, didn't they, for quite a bit of money as well.
That's what I mean. Like I think if you want to make that next step, there's got to be a point where the transfer fees then become bigger, and it's not a million miles away from the Sangore fee, so it's not out of the realms of possibility for us to go and do that. And for anyone worrying about PSR and stuff like that, there's a long way to go until we have to worry about that yet. There's a long way, and if it comes to it, like me and my brother Reese 2.0 were talking about this, saying if he scores the goals which take us up another couple of positions, that could result in another 10 to 15 million pound in prize money for another couple of higher places in the Premier League. So all of a sudden, it's looking like great business. I think our fans are very, obviously we've been stung, haven't we, with PSR? So rightfully so, everyone's going, oh, that's a big fee. But like I say, if we want to be here for a long time, which we do, and we want to carry on improving, then sort of fees are going to have to start being met, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, plus as well, like I kind of think if we have a good season and Gimenez came in and also had a good season, then you're going to have a lot more sellable assets anyway. So you're going to sell. We might end up being like a Southampton of old, or I'm trying to think of other examples, but teams that get kind of picked apart almost. But Palace is a good one as well. Because we're quite stubborn anyway, like our owners are pretty stubborn. There's no reason why we can't keep majority of them, and you end up maybe selling only one or two. But hopefully, with the planning of what the club are doing and all the links you see in, we are already kind of thinking about the next person to step in, which is similar to the Brighton model, which they have done, haven't they? But they've got like 6 wonder kid wingers at the moment. It's absolutely ridiculous. They've got so much talent to pick from. I'm very jealous in a sense. So yeah, no, it is exciting. I think it showed great ambition, and we can't really say Marinakis hasn't shown that at all anyway. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens within the next, 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously, the window closes soon, so I expect us to be pretty busy. It could be quite busy in terms of like rumours and that sense, and trying to get that one over the line if it is true. So yeah, no, I'm excited about it. But last few things we're going to touch on. Media, fans all over Twitter or YouTube or whatever have all been predicting us to go down based on the last couple of seasons, which is fair enough. I've seen one person say like the mood is not right. I'm not sure if they've been doing enough research, but does that get on you, on your back or anything, or do you kind of just brush it off and go, well, let's just let Forest do the talking?
A bit both, really. I'd be lying if I said it didn't annoy me. There was even a video I watched this morning, and he's put us to come bottom, and I was just looking at it, and I was thinking, why? What? Like, did you not watch the Premier League last year in terms of not how good we were, in terms of how bad the 3 that came up? Like, people were predicting Burnley to finish top 10. Like, do you know how hard that is to do? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'd rather just go quietly about our business, and then when it comes to past January, February time, people go, oh, Forest are having a good season. Kind of a bit like what Wolves did last year. Everyone said Wolves are going to be down there and fighting for their lives, and they were fairly solid, weren't they, all year round? So yeah, hopefully we can do that, really.
Why do you think fans and media put us down there? Do you think it is because of like the last couple of seasons we had points deducted and they kind of, I don't know, maybe don't do the research or what, or are we just really hated now?
I'd say it's probably lack of research, bit of hatred. They're going, oh, they're moaning again, or with the PSR and the VAR and all sorts. But no, I think to be honest, I think there is a bit of Forest fans overdoing it and saying we're going to come 10th, we're going to come 12th. Like, that would be ridiculous for me if we were to come there. It'd be crazy. But another sense of it is they've looked at it and said, oh, we've come 16th and 17th. It'd be ridiculous to not say we're going to be down there. So,
Yeah.
but obviously we're in and amongst it. We've watched how we've played pre-season. We've seen the feel good factor. We've finally had a settled pre-season. There hasn't been crazy business, so we're all optimistic, and rightly so. And I do think we will have a better season.
Yeah. Who? What? I asked you to have some predictions ready for me. The first one was where do you think Forest will finish?
I've changed my mind. I did have us as similar as the last 2 seasons, but I've gone 14th.
Well, that's what I said on Talksport to Gabby
Yeah,
Obama, at least.
I've gone 14th. So I don't think that's too high, but I don't think that's involved in a relegation scrap. So I think 14th with our feet up with 6 to go would be the best feeling ever.
I think between like 10th and 17th is similar to the Championship in terms of like 4th to like 14th in that league, really, where anyone can finish anywhere between those sort of spots because it's a little bit crazy and it depends who can kind of get a run going at the right time. Player of the season, do you think?
I've gone for my favourite Forest player. I've gone Danilo. I just love it. I love him. The low socks has done it for me.
The soldier, has it?
Yeah, I think he's finally gonna see the best. I think because, like you said, last season he was up and down to begin with. The last games under Nuno, I think he was basically the main man, really, wasn't it? Him and Gibbs White. Danilo's win percentage under Nuno was ridiculous.
He started every game that Nuno won.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think Nuno does like him as well, and like I say, he's only young. I've seen something earlier from a journalist saying he was on Man U's list. Hopefully, he doesn't go anywhere. Fingers crossed, everything crossed that he stays. But yeah, I've gone for Danilo, player of the season.
Yeah, surprise of the season.
I've gone for Jota.
Yeah,
I think because he's coming for such a small fee, and people have looked at him and gone, "Oh, he's Elanga's rotation, or he's Elanga's backup, if you like." I think you could see him coming in and surprising quite a few because he looks like the kind of profile that fits the Premier League. With he's athletic, he's sharp, he's got good feet, both footed. Seems to be aerially quite good on his highlights as well. So I'm hoping he's a surprise.
I mean, he surprised me with them big eyebrows. I'm not going to lie, they're huge.
Yeah.
What I quite liked is what your brother said in his Portuguese.
Yeah, Portuguese is a good one for him, isn't it?
It's quite good. I don't want to say it too much because he'll get a massive head. Hopefully, he listens to this. Right, some hot takes. So I've kind of I feel like I've really stomped on all over Forest, all over's kind of fingerprints with all this one, but it is something I think is pretty good and something that people will talk about within the pubs. But I wanted you to give me a Forest one and a Premier League one. But let's start with the Premier League, the Forest one, should I say?
Forest one is dependent on what happens in the end of the transfer window. But I've got Sells to get double figures in clean sheets, and he's going to stay in the goals. I think he's going to get 10 clean sheets, and he's going to be our number one for the whole season, and he's going to be up there with a shout for player of the season.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Yep. That'd be amazing. I mean, if we get 10 clean sheets, we survive so easily.
Yeah. I honestly, when we signed Miguel and I seen all the clamour for it because of his height, get him in, get him started, I was probably one of the few who was going, no, I quite like Sells. I feel like because we've had such turmoil last season with the keepers, when he came in, it was nice feeling not to worry about the keeper. I think he's good. He's a good keeper.
That prediction isn't too far fetched in a lot of realms of possibility because we were good out in non-set piece, in open play defending under Nuno, and then we've now addressed it with signing Milenkovic. So hopefully it will get naturally better. I mean, I can't imagine us letting in another 20 plus goals from set pieces. That'd be absolutely farcical. But you never know, do you? But hopefully that will massively improve, and with that means we get more points. Red hot take for the Premier League.
I've gone for Everton to get a top half finish.
Everton to get a top half finish.
Yeah,
I mean, they've signed some good players.
Signed some really good players. I think O'Brien, and then you've got Illiman and Diar. I think he's a great player. That Lindstrom, is it Jasper Lindstrom?
On loan from Napoli.
Yeah, he scored a good free kick the other day. They've played the last 2 games. They've scored 9 goals and conceded 0. I know it's pre-season, but it's not a bad benchmark to set, is it? And I think Yeah, and I think they've got a lot of very big physical athletes for players. I think they're a bit like us in the sense of I think they're a striker away from being a very good Premier League team.
That's fair enough. I think that's quite a good one. Like a bit different because it's not a team that's in like one of the top halves. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see if this like. I mean, Leicester are due a deduction. Man City are. I mean, how Man United have got away with this one that's been reported on that was on Talksport about them getting like a leeway for COVID or whatever. I don't know how that is even sitting with the league. It's an absolute joke. So let's hope some justice would actually come to it because us and Everton got absolutely shafted, especially Everton. They got shafted way more than we did, in all
Yeah.
honesty. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the season. Obviously, we're going to go to the Bournemouth game. We've managed to get our tickets this week, so all aboard on that trip. What's your predictions for Bournemouth? Because I know a lot can change between then and now, and Dominic Solanke's been heavily linked with a move to Tottenham, which would be music to my ears because he's a thorn in our I don't know, in our defence, if you want to call it that. Especially when we come to the City ground, he always seems to score there. He doesn't score at home, but when he comes to Forest, he seems to really like it and turn up. But I hate it. But he's in my dream team.
Yeah, I'll be very happy if his move to Tottenham goes through before the game. I'll be very happy for him as well because I think that's a great move for Solanke to go there. It's a chance to be the main man in the team chasing Champions League. Yeah, but in terms of prediction, I'm so scarred with all the 3-2s and the losses and the draws against Bournemouth. I think I'm going to go with 2-1 to us. I think we're finally going to get one over them.
Yeah, I mean they've not done loads and loads of business. I think they lost Lloyd Kelly. They've signed that Dean Huijsen from Juventus. I think they made Sinistera a permanent, but they've not done like loads and loads of business, which I thought they may well do. But they did quite a lot of business last season, so I suppose they're kind of in a similar state to us where they just want to add like a couple of players. But I think if they lose Solanke, that's a big hole to fill, really, because he scored so many goals in the last few seasons. Yeah, and like you say, I think it's a really good move if he goes to Tottenham. I think that's kind of a good fit for them.
Yeah, 100%.
With Tottenham got around a striker there. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting. So 2-1, you're saying. I mean, I'm going to leave my prediction to next week's when we do the big pod. But no, thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm sure we'll get you on throughout the season.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I expect more head loss though, Mason, in the future.
Oh, you will be getting that, mate. Don't worry.
Guys, if you enjoyed watching or listening, give us a follow. Listen, leave a review on Spotify if you can, or on iTunes. We appreciate that. Leave us a comment on YouTube. We'll try and reply to as many as we can. But until then, we'll see you next time. Come on, you Reds.